Palestinians are immoral or evil or have an evil, antiquated culture or are barbaric is not only ahistorical. What's up?
I do think that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think you're wrong.
I don't know, man. Like, how can you be in support of a culture that tells people that they can't be who they want to be?
It's not defensible, but I think most people, including like the gay Palestinians or queer Palestinians or queer Lebanese people, understand that there is no room for advocating for civil liberties in your own domestic policies when you are escaping bombings. But when you start talking about like inferior cultures, that sets up the opportunity for, historically at least, dehumanization. And also it justifies a lot of the atrocities that those people end up experiencing.
But then all of that leading to later that night, Asmongold walking back some of his original comments on X. Writing, looking back on it, I was way too much of an asshole about the Palestine thing. My bad. Of course, no one deserves to have their life destroyed, even if they do things or have views I find regressive. You guys deserve more than me saying stupid shit like that. I'll do better. But given the situation, how things went down, not a ton of people are buying it. Right, among other things, saying he's only doing this to save face amid calls for him to get banned or removed from OTK. Others saying the most reflection you can do is, quote, my bad. There's no sugarcoating this. You wholeheartedly agree with the principles of Nazism. Log off. Also, going back to that note on people calling for him to get banned, actually, as I was recording today's show, he got banned from Twitch. Though notably, one, it was described as a temporary ban, and two, it was the specific Zach Rohr channel, and Asmongold has several channels on Twitch. And so as the situation is developing in real time, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts with all this? Whether it be specifically about his disgusting comments, his apology, or the bans or the calls for them. But then, shifting gears, we gotta talk about 36-year-old Aaron Spencer of Arkansas, right? And that's because last week at around 1 in the morning on a weekday, he discovered that his 14-year-old daughter wasn't in a room or even in the house. So Aaron, of course, he reports her missing to the police. The sheriff's deputies then get dispatched to his home, but before they can even get there, they get another 911 call about a shooting. And it turns out that Spencer apparently found his daughter on his own, and she wasn't alone. But they were reportedly in a car with 67-year-old Michael Fossler, which is a man that the girl had a no contact order against according to her mother. That order stemming from an incident back in July when he was arrested for internet stalking of a child and sexual assault, according to the sheriff, who said that the man was out on bond. Right, so when Spencer sees his missing teen daughter inside a car with her alleged stalker rapist, this confrontation led to its logical endpoint, with Spencer ultimately shooting and killing Fossler right there. But when the cops showed up to the scene, all they knew was the fact that whether justified or not, one man killed another, and that's homicide. And so they arrest Spencer on a preliminary charge of first-degree murder, and they book him in the county jail with him posting bond the next day. Now, since then, Spencer's wife and his child's mother, Heather, they've explained their side of the story in a series of Facebook posts, explaining, we have no idea this man was in contact with our child again, saying he was looking at the rest of his pathetic life in jail, and our daughter was the only witness. We 100% in the moment thought he had taken her to kill her. Then going on to thank community members who shared claims that Fossler attacked them as well, and adding, we have gotten a clear picture of a predator who continuously worked with children and preyed on young girls. This man was chief of police in Indiana and a resource officer, giving us a better idea of why the Lanoke County courts have been protecting him and going after my husband. With all of that then being compounded by the revelation that the sheriff and his former jail administrator, they were sued back in August for ignoring female inmates who alleged sexual abuse by jail staff, which is why you had the sheriff telling KATV Channel 7.
I'm a daddy. In a situation similar to this, I can't tell you I wouldn't act the same way. But now we are the fact finders. We don't file the charges. We supply the information so the prosecutor can make a determination whether it was justified or not.
And so for right now, we've got to see if this preliminary charge against Spencer turns into an official charge or if this thing's going to blow over. Though, if it does go to trial, an attorney told Fox News that Spencer's lawyers do have multiple arguments they could roll out. One, they could say he shot Fossler in the heat of passion, which would downgrade the murder charge to manslaughter. Or two, they could say that he shot Fossler in self-defense, either to protect himself or his daughter. But either way, he and his wife are going to need the money to retain a lawyer, which is also why they're fundraising online. Though there, according to Heather, GoFundMe took down their page and returned the money to their donors, with a GoFundMe spokesperson saying that its terms of service prohibit fundraisers that raise money for the legal defense of anyone formerly charged with an alleged violent crime, which is why now the family is accepting donations through Venmo and Cash App instead, though most recently Heather said that even Cash App's denying transactions for unspecified reasons. But then, in just horrifying news, these guys pretended to be utility workers to get into an elderly couple's home before then binding them in duct duct tape, killing the husband and robbing them. With us now learning that this whole situation kicked off last Thursday at around 10 o'clock at night in a suburb outside of Detroit, with the local sheriff's department releasing ring camera footage that shows two men wearing yellow vests and face masks saying that they're from DTE, which is an energy company based in Detroit, and saying that they were there to check for gas leaks. But I mean, they had a clipboard with a form that had the company's logo, even ID badges. And as far as the homeowners, they were Hussein Murray and his wife, both in their early 70s. And notably, they owned a local jewelry and pawn shop, with the police saying that may have something to do with why they were targeted. But on that Thursday, according to the authorities, the couple turned the men away that night, with the fake utility worker saying, "That's fine, we'll be back in the morning," and back they came. Friday at 10 a.m., they show up again, with this time Mr. Murray signing the paper and showing the two men into the basement. And the prosecutor saying that these two fake workers, they quickly returned upstairs alone and asked Mrs. Murray where they could find money and jewelry, with them reportedly duct taping her wrists and ankles and hitting her when she began to scream. And after they took her watch and phone, the two men left in a white pickup with the DTE logo on it, and Mrs. Murray was able to free herself enough to call 911. And unfortunately, when the authorities got to the house, Mr. Murray was found dead in the basement with his wrists and ankles duct taped. His injuries so gruesome that the sheriff's office said it was unclear whether he had been shot or beaten to death. And as for his wife, she was briefly hospitalized, though otherwise she is okay. And from there, the manhunt started, right? The sheriff's office releasing the ring footage and the photos from Thursday night. And one of them, Carlos Hernandez, was arrested in Shreveport, Louisiana on Saturday after being spotted traveling south. They're now facing charges of felony murder and unlawful imprisonment, and it turns out he was also wanted in Ohio on unrelated warrants for armed robbery. And then, as far as the other guy, yesterday the local sheriff's office said they arrested him about 30 miles south of where the crime happened. Though I call him the other guy because as of yet, they haven't released his name. And then, with all of this, one of the reasons that we're talking about this today is something that DTE said when they released the statement, where they expressed sympathy for the victims, but also they warned people that they will always notify them in advance before making a visit to their homes. We're trying to get the word out that it is rare for their employees to need to enter a home, and adding that customers should always ask for a photo ID badge before letting the employee do so. But ultimately, we'll have to wait to see what happens in this situation, but hopefully these two monsters, they get put away for life. But then, taking a quick break from the news, when you come across something that works for you, like really works for you, and you just feel like the need to tell everyone you know? Well, that's how I feel about the fantastic sponsor of the PDS, ZBiotics. I no longer feel stuck choosing between a great night or a productive next day once I found pre-alcohol. Because ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. You see, alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut, and that byproduct is a big reason why you feel so rough the next morning. But pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. So just drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. And personally, I notice a huge difference the next morning. Whether it's a brunch with friends, family time, or hitting the gym, I feel great. I wake up ready to go. So y'all just go to zbiotics.com/DeFranco to get 15% off your first order when you use DeFranco at checkout. Plus, pre-alcohol is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. If you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Just remember, that's zbiotics.com/DeFranco and use code DeFranco at checkout for 15% off. Then in huge election news, we gotta talk about Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Fox News, and Joe Rogan. Starting with the news that Kamala Harris is going on Fox News and Donald Trump is pissed about it. Because yesterday, Fox News announced that Harris would be sitting down for an interview with Bret Baier this Wednesday that's set to air at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I know some of you might be thinking, okay, a presidential candidate's going on one of the single biggest networks. Groundbreaking. But it's actually a pretty big deal, right? Top Democratic officials, they have long avoided Fox. In fact, President Biden hasn't even appeared on the network once since taking office. But in recent weeks, Harris's campaign has made an effort to switch things up, with Tim Walz, for example, appearing on Fox News Sunday the past 2 weekends. And all of this is part of the campaign's broader media blitz to reach different audiences and different voters. Or with this including a mix of more mainstream news outlets as well as less traditional media sources, including Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy podcast. And, with Fox News specifically, you might be going, well, who is she actually gonna win over? It's 2024. She's not gonna win over die-hard far-right Republicans. But here's the thing. According to research by Nielsen, more independent voters watch Fox News than CNN or MSNBC. And so there are potential votes to be pulled there, though, of course, this is a calculated risk on their campaign. As a result of Harris being on Fox News, Trump is big mad, with him unsurprisingly lashing out at Fox News in a series of Truth Social posts where he said that Fox, quote, has grown so weak and soft on the Democrats, constantly polluting the airwaves with unopposed Kamala representatives. With him then going on to take shots at numerous Fox News personalities while claiming that Harris's spokesperson virtually owns the network, and adding, it's not worthwhile doing interviews on Fox because it all just averages out into nothing. Fox News has totally lost its way. Now with that, I do think that it's important to point out that Trump has regularly appeared on Fox News. And this, even though he has more frequently condemned the network for not spouting his talking points as much as they used to. Just last month, he did an interview with Fox and Friends, and he's literally participating in a town hall hosted by the network the same day that Harris is set to sit down with Baier. So, it really seems like he's just threatened by Harris appearing on more conservative media outlets. Also, he lashes out at anyone that just doesn't kind of get in rank and file. Though notably, with the this whole situation, it is very unlikely that this is the only place Harris is going to be going to try to get more conservative voters, especially since Trump wouldn't agree to another debate with Harris after what happened with the first one, right? And in fact, we're actually now seeing reports that Harris's team is in open talks to set up an interview with Joe Rogan, which is something that would be absolutely massive because one, there's also been talks about a potential Trump-Rogan podcast. Two, Rogan has the single biggest podcast in America. And three, his audience is predominantly male, which is a demographic that